Eric Paulzini with 9-5 Sports. Going to be getting into the Week 7 core plays here for you guys. It's kind of crazy that it's already Week 7, but it has been a fun run thus far. Last week ended up being a pretty easy slate, so hopefully this week is going to be an easy slate as well. It kind of looks like it will be on paper as well. Hopefully we don't get like some crazy slate breaking news, which makes us make some adjustments on our cash plays video that I typically release on Friday, but still, very solid week main slate wise. Ended up being a pretty easy week, so fingers crossed that that'll be the same once again this week. Do want to say, if you guys enjoy this coverage, as always, make sure to like and subscribe. That does help out the channel a lot. I'm trying to grow as much as possible. I'm trying to help out as many people as possible, so if you guys like and subscribe, that does help out the channel a lot, which helps me be able to help you guys out. So without further ado, let's get into the core plays for this week. So I haven't really decided just yet if I do want to make Justin Herbert a core play just yet, but I'm very intrigued by the fact that he threw the ball 57 times last week. Okay, that is an insane number, and he gets the Seattle Seahawks, a defense in which you should be able to beat via the passing game. Okay, if he's going to be throwing the ball over 40 times, I do think there's a path in which he could really go off. He could potentially get back Keenan Allen this week as well. So if he does, I think that would make me want to make him a core play if he gets Keenan Allen back. Okay, that's a wait and see for me on this slate. And then from there, I don't really want to pay up for any other quarterback. So I've kind of just been paying down for quarterback and going with, well, some ugly quarterbacks. Let's put it that way. I've been trashing Matt Ryan this whole season, okay? He has not looked good. And last week, he finally looked decent, okay? I'm not going to go out and say he looked great, but he did throw the ball freaking 58 times, okay? He was able to throw for 389 yards, okay? 3 touchdowns as well. Like he put out some productive fantasy usage there. And that's the second time this season in which he's threw the ball over 50 times in a game. Okay. And that to me is highly intriguing. If we can get him throwing the ball that many times or a decent amount of times, then he is going to be a great play. Then he is going to get the 300-yard bonus. Then he is going to throw a couple of touchdowns. Okay. That is what highly intrigues me. But what also highly intrigues me is the matchup with the Tennessee Titans. This is the second best matchup on the slate. The Titans have given up 24.7 DK points per game to opposing quarterbacks. So far in their 5 games this season, they've given up 12 passing TDs and 1,520 yards. Okay, that is a decent amount. They are giving up on average 69 more passing yards to an opposing quarterback than they typically average, and 7 DK points more on average. Okay, so really strong matchup there for Matt Ryan. At 5.4, I have been playing him a decent amount. Some other quarterbacks that you can look at are going to be like Jimmy G. Jimmy G finally threw the ball over 40 times, over 30 times, really, if you want to look at it that way. So he's not a lock and load play because we do have to worry about how many times he's going to pass the ball. But against the Chiefs, that is their weakness. Okay, they're giving up almost 7 DK points more per game on average to opposing quarterbacks, and about 50 yards more passing and about 7 more passing attempts. Okay, and that's the big thing. That's the thing I wanted to look at, is how many more passing attempts are teams doing against the Chiefs. About 7 more, and that's the most in the league, difference-wise. So let's just say Jimmy G is throwing the ball maybe, let's say 27 times. Add on 7 more, that's going to be 34 times. Okay, so like that could be there for him. I do think they should pass the ball a little bit more. Like it just makes sense. And then lastly, guys, I mean, look away. This is brutal. Davis Mills. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, it is early on the week, but I do like Davis Mills a decent amount. Okay, $5K, very cheap price point. Doesn't take much for him to 3X. Okay, we just need him to throw a couple of touchdowns. Okay, and that could be asking a lot. Okay, maybe, but he's done that twice thus far this season. So 2 out of his 5 games, he's done that. Okay, we like that. He's averaging 11.4 DK points now. Okay, and in 2 of those games that were kind of easier matchups, especially the Chargers, like 1 for 15 DK points. Okay, so there is a route in which he can do it. Obviously, the reason I like Davis Mills is his matchup with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders are giving up 8 DK points more per game on average to opposing quarterbacks, and they've been giving up the most points on average as well. Okay, so like Davis Mills should be in a good spot. Okay, he's a play that I do like, once again, just not passing the ball enough to be like a lock and load play, but I definitely do like him at that 5K price point. He is someone value-wise I'll definitely be ending up on. We'll see quarterback-wise, all right? And I will say, like, the quarterback position is the toughest part about this slate, I think. From there, it's pretty spelt out what you should be doing already on Monday or on Tuesday when I'm recording this. All right, I'm going to start off with running back Josh Jacobs, the running back that I mostly expect to be chalk on this slate. Like, he should be. It just makes sense for him to be chalk. Over his last 4 games now, so 4 out of his 5 games, he's averaging over 20 opportunities per game, which is great. Okay, we've seen him go off the last 2 weeks, 33 DK points in each of the last 2 weeks. Before that, he had 14.7 DK points. Okay, he's been good, and he's been getting targeted a lot in the passing game. The last 3 weeks, 5, 6, 6, and 6 targets. Like, that is highly appealing to me for Josh Jacobs. But that's not the only thing that's appealing to us. He gets a matchup with the Houston Texans, a matchup in which running backs have been able to average 31.6 DK points against. That is insane. That's the most out of any team thus far this season. You look at the rushing attempts. Teams are getting 6 more rushing attempts per game against the Houston Texans. They're getting 40 more rush yards. They're getting 7 DK points more per game. Okay, like, this is an elite matchup. Josh Jacobs, even at this price point, like, still way too cheap. He should be a lock and low play. Given the opportunities, given the price point, given the matchup, he is one player that I'm just going out of my way to play, but I do expect him to be chalk, so we do have to worry about that. And then probably believe my biggest surprise film-wise was Kenneth Walker. Okay, he came out and looked really good. That was by far his best game thus far this season, and that's just kind of how it goes with these rookie running backs. It does take some time for them to really click on all cylinders like they had done in college. Well, that finally came through with Kenneth Walker last week. If you guys watched my videos, I was a little bit hesitant about Kenneth Walker as a play last week because he just had not looked great. Let's put it that way. Last week, he finally looked great. And man, it was very impressive. Okay, so I'm glad to see that he finally put it all together. And now he gets an great matchup with the LA Chargers, a matchup that you definitely want to be going out of your way to play. And he only saw a $400 price increase for a guy that just rushed the ball 21 times, had 3 targets, and had over 100 total yards. In a tough matchup, he also had that rushing touchdown, scored 19 DK points. Now he gets a great matchup with the LA Chargers as well, a matchup in which the defense is almost giving up 6 more DK points per game to opposing running backs, 22 more total yards. Man, I can't pass up on this. And I know the Denver Broncos just trolled us by sitting out Melvin Gordon for whatever reason to go with Latavius Murray. That was so strange. I don't get it. How does Melvin Gordon have over 1,000 yards each of the last 2 seasons for the Broncos and 10 touchdowns the last 2 seasons, taking away carries from Javonte Williams, and then he gets replaced by Latavius Murray, who didn't look good? Strange. Okay, that shouldn't happen for Kenneth Walker here. He should be able to go off. Okay, there were big holes there, and I think Kenneth Walker will be able to exploit those holes. Okay, at 5.8, just too cheap. Okay, all the pieces are coming together for Kenneth Walker to be a great play on this slate, so just play him. He did see 69% of the snaps as well. I should point that out. That is a pretty good snap share. I like to see that as well. And then I will like Austin Ekeler once again. If Keenan Allen is out, I do expect those targets to continue to be there. Obviously, we're not expecting 16 or 10 like he has gone a couple of times thus far this season, but probably around 6 or 7. Like, I would expect that. The problem is he has been terrible running the football, so he does need to get that usage in the passing game, but I do kind of expect that to be there if Keenan Allen is going to be out. I would much rather just pay for Saquon Barkley at this price point, 7.9. He is still too cheap, guys. I mean, he could have easily had another rushing touchdown. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he slid before the goal line to let the clock run out, made the smart football play, unlike Nick Chubb against the Jets. What was that, week 2? So yeah, I don't really get it, to be honest with you guys. He's a running back that's getting over 20 opportunities per game. He is their offense, and now he gets a matchup with the Jacksonville Jaguars, which have been a matchup that you can exploit. It's an easy matchup. I mean, Deion Jackson just went off against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really, the only running back that struggled against the Jaguars has been Jonathan Taylor for some weird reason. Okay, Saquon Barkley at 7.9 should be a player that you're going out of your way to play on this slate. He should be a super safe, like 15 plus DK points, and maybe gets, a couple of touchdowns or a few more receptions his way. And then just something that I'm going to be monitoring is Kenyan Drake, because he does get the best matchup on the slate against the Cleveland Browns, or one of the best matchups on the slate going against the Cleveland Browns. Okay, a matchup that we've been picking on a decent amount, especially like the last 2 weeks. He led the Ravens in snaps at 58% of the snaps. Okay, he looked pretty good. So something to monitor. If we get word that it might be the Kenyan Drake show again, he'd be someone that you want to look at as well. All right, so receiver-wise, I'm going to keep it simple here. Like, so Deebo Samuel, certainly in play, especially if you are someone that's looking at Jimmy G. Super safe play. He's been a super safe play thus far this season. He's someone you can easily plug and play, knowing that he's going to get you over 10 DK points, has a nice safe floor. At the same time, I do really like Brandon Aiyuk, who he's just been playing a ton of snaps. Aiyuk's been playing about 90% of the snaps. He continues to get targeted a decent amount. There's been a couple of games in there where he didn't get targeted that much, but in game scripts in which you would think he would get the ball a little bit more targets, that's happened. Okay, so 6K, certainly not a lock and low play, but he has been someone that has had a decent floor as well. I'm not going crazy with it, but 6K, I do like him a lot. Okay, and that's the biggest thing, is that you guys will notice as well, it's that I'm playing a lot of 2 receivers. Like, I'll show you guys here, like Allen Lazard at his price point. I like him a lot, but I also like Romeo Dobbs. And that's kind of the issue I'm seeing on this slate. So Allen Lazard, the last 4 games, over 10 DK points. he's been very consistent. He's a leading target getter, and he is getting over 90% of the snaps. That is huge to me. Tack on the fact that he gets the second easiest matchup on the slate going against the Washington Commanders. That's highly appealing to me, guys. Okay, they just let Darnell Mooney have his best game. Okay, they almost let Justin Fields throw for a passing touchdown. They tried to let him throw for 2, I guess. But Allen Lazard at 6.1 should be a safe play. He should be a play that should be able to 2x and possibly 3x this week. You should be plugging and playing him. At the same time, I do really like Romeo Dobbs, kind of given his price point still. Didn't get that much of a price bump, even though he did see 9 targets last week. Just missed out on a long reception. Okay, like just out of the reach of his fingertips. Could have caught it, and that would have been a huge play. Given the matchup, given the 90% of snaps that he's playing, I still think he's going to be a strong play for you on the slate. He is someone that I could actually see potentially breaking the slate as well. And then the one play that I think I just like the most is going to be CeeDee Lamb, playing over 90% of the snaps as well. Obviously, we'd love that. He gets the Detroit Lions, which are a top 10 defense that you want to be targeting for opposing receivers. The Detroit Lions do give up about 1 more reception per game to opposing receivers, 26 more yards, and about 5 DK points more per game to opposing receivers. So that should mean that this is going to be a plus matchup for CeeDee Lamb, whereas last week against the Philadelphia Eagles was a matchup that you were certainly worried about. He was still able to see 10 targets, still had 5 receptions, still had 12.7 DK points. Like, he certainly did enough last week to warrant us really loving him as a play this week in a much, much easier matchup. And at 6.8, that does seem too cheap for CeeDee Lamb, for a guy that's, his lowest target amount this year has been 8 targets. Okay, averaging over 10 targets per game. Someone I'm certainly going out of my way to play. And then tight end wise, guys, how about Daniel Bellinger? He just kept coming through for us, okay? And finally, he saw a huge amount of snaps. He saw 96% of the snaps last week, okay? And that's why I like him as a play. He has been, doing well. DFS wise, he scored a touchdown. That helped out a lot. The Giants just aren't throwing the ball enough to sustain multiple pass catchers, but I will be looking to go back to Daniel Bellinger, especially if he's going to be playing 90% of the tight end snaps for them. Again, that is huge, I think. So he is someone I'll be looking at. Then we do have to look at Cole Turner, I think. Cole Turner scored 4.3 DK points last week, and that was with John Bates and Logan Thomas out. So if they sit again, he'd be someone that you look at the minimum price. Another potential great value would be Cade Otten. We already used Cade Otten once this year, and where he saw 90% or 96% of the snaps as well with Cameron Brate out. It does look like Cameron Brate is going to be out again, so I think we just insert Cade Otten back into that similar high usage role, okay? In that game, we saw 7 targets for 10.3 DK points, okay? Last week, we saw 3 targets for 4.3 points on like 56% of the snaps, okay? So an increase in snaps at this price point, he becomes a highly appealing value play as well. But probably the player that's going to be the most chalk on this slate is going to be Greg Dulcich. He is someone that came in and looked good. We get why there was preseason hype on him. Okay, saw over 70% of the snaps as well coming in off that injury. So that's a snap share that could only go up. The Denver Broncos have made it clear that they love him, okay? He's someone that almost caught a touchdown as well, or another touchdown as well. Was able to score 12.4 DK points. He's a tight end play that just makes a lot of sense. And the New York Jets just gave up a crap ton of points to Robert Tonyan, who hadn't done anything thus far this season, or really for the past year. So Greg Dulcich makes a lot of sense. And at 2.5, I imagine he's going to be the highest owned player on the slate. Defensively, you guys know what I like to do. I like to target the lowest price defense that's not going to go negative, and I actually do see that being the Seattle Seahawks. We just saw the Los Angeles Chargers struggle, okay? And the Seahawks have been a pretty solid defense. They haven't went negative thus far this season. I don't mind it. Okay, so we can play them, I think. If they get us 3 DK points, that's great. Obviously, if Keenan Allen is back, I don't like that as much. So to finish out the first look build here, who can we go with? I don't mind Chris Godwin in his matchup. We can certainly play him. 12 targets last week. I think he's a safe play. We can plug and play him in there if we want to. I wouldn't mind DK Metcalf as well. He'd be a fine play. Courtland Sutton, I'm fine with. I do keep on ending up in this price point range, so it's just for us to figure out where we want to go. But that's all I have for you guys for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like, subscribe. If you guys want to join 9 to 5 Nation, become a 9 to 5 member. It is $10 a month. Included in that, NFL-wise, is the NFL DFS cheat sheet, as well as the NFL lineup optimizer. Okay, $10 a month for that is just an insane value for a lineup optimizer like that. Included in that is going to be the golf package as well, and we are starting to cover NBA DFS as well. So get that all included in there. Best value in fantasy sports. So check it out. I keep it at that price point for you guys. I don't want to overcharge for anything. Just trying to make it easier on you guys. But that's all I have for you guys this week. Let's have a good weekend as always. Let's keep cashing.